And we are live. Sunday Service, episode number 15. We got a lot to talk about. Big card last night. UFC Saudi Arabia. Whittaker, first round knockout. Pavlovich maybe getting exposed by Alexander Volkov. Interesting stuff there. Kelvin Gastelum, absolutely weight bullying. Johnny Walker getting knocked out once again. And Sharamagomedov picking up a win over an absolute can. That pretty much sums up the main card, but we're going to talk a little bit more in depth about that. And then, of course, we got to look forward a little bit. We got to look to UFC 303 because that's the big headliner this week. Pay-per-view this week, Alex Pereira versus Yuri Prochazka. I got some concerns about our boy Alex Pereira, man. Like, this isn't going to be, or I don't really look at this as like some easy win. There's no chance it's an easy win. He's facing Yuri Prochazka. Yuri Prochazka is dangerous. Alex Pereira is dangerous. Could easily knock him out again. But this is MMA. We're talking punchy, kicky, man. So I got some concerns. We're going to go over that. And we got a lot more to talk about than just that. What's going on? IG chat is blowing up right now. How we doing? I got it on my phone right here. We're not oiled up. We're not getting oiled up, man. We're not getting oiled up. How are we going to make some money next week, bro? Let me tell you, I got to look. But how we're making money lately is the DFS apps, okay? We nearly made $12K last night. Lost it by 15 seconds. Just disgusting. Are Yuri's legs 100% recovered, man? I really don't think so. Because the amount of leg kicks he took from Rakic, which was, what was that, about 2 months ago? 2.5 months ago? I mean, they'll probably recovered. He's probably kicking trees out in wherever the hell he lives right now. So I think they're recovered. Yuri's a different breed. Even if they weren't recovered, I don't think it would phase him too much. That guy just gets hit and he doesn't give a shit, man. He just keeps moving forward. Poetan for the win in the IG chat. That's what we're saying. Your bets be winning, bro. Just got greedy and add one more play to him. Hey, sometimes being greedy works out. Sometimes it don't. But I can't fault you for trying to be greedy because that happens to me too. I'll be a little bit greedy, add another leg to something, and then we lose. But when you win, that's how it pays off. That's how it pays off. Is Pyfer a lock? Low key, when I'm looking at that matchup for next week, I think Pyfer's a lock, bro. I think he is. But dude could gas out. It's only a 3-rounder though. It's a 3-rounder, so I think he's good. Definitely kicking trees in the woods. I agree. If he hasn't learned to check a leg kick in the last 2 fights, will he in his third? Probably not. I don't think Yuri's going to be checking the leg kicks from Alex Pereira, but I don't know if that matters. It might, because Alex Pereira leg kicks are a little bit different than an Alexander Rakic. Even though Rakic kicks like a mule, Alex Pereira's are a little bit faster, a little bit sneakier, and they hit a little bit different. So, yeah, but he's going to need to check some leg kicks because he hasn't throughout his entire UFC career. Just walks through damage and just keeps coming. What's your advice for studying these guys? I'd be using Google and their past fights. Yeah, just tape study. Watch the fights. I definitely look at statistics as well. If a fighter has really good statistics on paper, you can't overlook that. Like, even if they're just a boring fighter, if they have good statistics, you have to take those into account. So go to UFC fights or UFCstats.com. They got all the stats on there. They're only from the UFC fights. So if you're looking at guys that are making their debut or only have like one fight in the UFC, then it can get a little bit misleading. But guys that have like 6, 7, 8, 10 plus fights in the UFC, those stats are pretty accurate. So you have to take those into account. That's a big part of what I do, especially on the significant strike totals. Stats don't lie, man. They just don't. MVP versus Ian is a banger. Hot take, but I don't think it's a banger. On paper, it looks like a banger, but I don't think it's going to be a banger. I think it's going to be a boring-ass fight. What up, David, in the YouTube chat? Shama. Rope Lord Sheik paid off refs and judges to favor the Russian/Middle Eastern fighters. Low-key, there was 2 fights that I think Nasrat definitely could have lost. I think Fakhretdinov definitely could have lost. And we'll talk about that as we go through the recap. Jamal Hill is so bad. He's not bad, but he's definitely not on the level of Pereira. I will 100% die on that hill. Which fights you feel good about going the distance? I gotta look at the numbers. I haven't really looked at too many fights. I did my early picks on the YouTube channel, but that's just matchups. I haven't really looked at like props, over unders, anything like that. Just pretty much matchups, who I think is gonna win. That video is out on my YouTube channel right now. So you go check that out after this. Rob broke the new gloves, no KO curse. Well, actually, Volkan Oezdemir did when he chinned the shit out of Johnny Walker. That KO was brutal, man. That KO was disgusting. I mean, Johnny never had a good chin, and Volkan found the button. But that one last one, after he sat him down and he hit him with that one last right hand to the dome, and then his legs went stiff, that was pretty nasty. Ariel is king. Interesting, David. Interesting take. Diego versus Movzar for the title shot next. That is if Diego wins this weekend against Brian Ortega. Not an easy fight, but it is a fight that I think he can win. Johnny Walker always getting chinned. IG chat popping off, man. Thank you all for joining tonight. Sunday service. We're here every Sunday, recapping the card, talking about the card next week, if it's worth talking about. And obviously, the one next week is very worth talking about. How would the fight go if Rob and Hamzat happened instead? That's so tough to think about. I don't think Rob KOs him in round one. That's for sure. I don't know. I think Hamzat probably wins the first few rounds, and then it gets dicey. If he doesn't finish him. I mean, it's not a hot take. That's pretty much what everyone thinks. But Johnny Walker died, bro. It's funny because every time he gets knocked out, he'll go on his Instagram the next day and he'll post a video. He'll be like, "Hey guys, got knocked out, but I'm good. Just a little scratch, just a little blood." It's like, all right. Are you good though? Are you good? Because maybe in 10 years, you might not be good. Because good Lord, that dude be getting chinned in the worst ways. The worst ways. And at light heavyweight, those aren't forgiving knockouts. I mean, brutally knocked out by Oezdemir, brutally knocked out by Ankalaev, broke his nose, brutally knocked out by Jamal Hill. Like, bro, that dude's got some real CTE. And maybe that's why he's so goofy, man. Maybe that's why he's so goofy. Poor Johnny, man. Poor Johnny. What are your picks for UFC 303? As I said before, I put out my early picks on my YouTube channel. So you can go check those out. But those are early picks. And if you're new to the YouTube channel, we have a series every week, which usually drops Wednesday or Thursday, the video, where they're the official picks. After all the research is done, after everything is looked at, all the boxes are checked, I give out the official picks there. And right now we're sitting about 63% accuracy. It's nothing crazy, but it's only a 4-week sample. Might be even 3. No, I think it's 4. 4-week sample. So it's not a big sample size. You can't really say if it's good or bad. There's just not that many samples out there. So stay tuned for that later in the week. Stop plugging your channel, nerd. Bro, you're on my channel right now. This isn't a plug. I'm telling you where to get the picks. You're asking for picks. That's where I'm telling you where to get them. All right, we're almost 10 minutes into the show. We haven't even started the recap for UFC Saudi, so apologize for that. But let's get in it. Let's get into it, man. Started with the main event. Whittaker made slight work of him, man. Ikram, I saw this thing on Twitter. I forget who posted it, but Bobby Knuckles figured this dude out in like 90 seconds. Every time that Rob would feint with a jab, Ikram would throw a little lead body kick. And then as he would do that, he would open himself up to a right hand. So what did he do? Feints the jab and then comes over with a big overhand right, stumbles him, hurts him. Then he goes for his signature right head kick. Ikram kind of ducks it. And then he just sizes up the little Hamzat uppercut that knocked out Ikram before. So, yeah, poor Ikram, man. Poor Ikram getting brutalized in a spot where he didn't have much to lose. So I mean, it was a low risk, high reward for Ikram. Big risk, low reward for Robert Whittaker, but it actually could have been more of a reward than we're thinking, because I think based on what Dana White was talking about last night, I think there's a good chance they give Whittaker a title shot based off of that. Because Whittaker was in the spot where the main event fell out. He takes on a guy that's unranked, which Dana loves. Dana loves when you can get a up and coming prospect who nobody wants to fight, and you can finally convince some guy that's high up in the rankings to fight them, and then that guy high up in the rankings beats them. I think back to this, like the Dustin Poirier Benoit Saint-Denis. DP didn't really have a reason to take the fight against BSD, but he did. He knocked him out, and then DP gets the title shot. It's pretty similar, right? Because Dana loves when guys take risks, when they take opportunities, and they capitalize on them. And that's what Whittaker did. Without that main event, that card really ain't that good. The card really ain't that good, and they want to impress the Saudi Arabia market, man. They really do. They were banking on that card. They had it loaded up big time, and a lot of fights fell through. And for Whittaker to stay in the main event, take on a guy that, Saudi Arabia can kind of get behind, and then pull off the victory. I think the UFC's in love with Whittaker right now, and I could see a path where they just give him a title shot based on that. It was the same uppercut Hamzat put him out with. Yep, I agree. 100%. I mean, that kind of brings in another thing. Is Ikram chinny? Let me know in the chat if you think Ikram is chinny, because I'm kind of starting to think so. I mean, he got KO'd by Hamzat with that blast uppercut. And I kind of chalked that up as like, okay, that shot probably could have knocked out like most middleweights, right? And it was at 170, so I don't know if his chin was going to be as good at 170 than where he is now at middleweight. So I didn't really take that too much into account. But then he gets chinned by Whittaker, who hasn't knocked anybody out since 2017. And then you actually go back and watch some of his fights, like against Phil Hawes. The way he reacted to getting hit was a little weird. The guy might be chinny. Or it could just be the moment, could just be super underprepared, which is definitely valid because he had 7 days notice pretty much to take on one of the best in the world. But chin concerns are definitely there for me on Ikram. I don't know if this guy can really take a punch as good as most guys in the middleweight division. First main event for him too much was a title shot, so the pressure was definitely there. Yeah, I think it could have been the pressure. Another thing I hate seeing guys, I just didn't really like I didn't like the aura that Ikram was putting out there leading up to the fight as far as when they were in the octagon. He didn't really look loose. He looked a little tense, not really fresh, not really ready to go, not like jumping at the bits. Just didn't really look confident. So I don't know. But he didn't make any excuses for him. So I guess you got to respect that. You think Ikram's super chinny? Interesting. Chin weak? Yeah, he's very chinny. Okay, I guess I'm not an island. People are agreeing. You think he's chinny too? And the double weight cut? Yeah. I don't know how much weight he was cutting though, because I think he found out Thursday morning, somewhere around there, maybe Wednesday night. And usually they'll cut most of the weight Thursday night. So I don't know that he was like super depleted and then had to rehydrate and then deplete again. Maybe. I don't know. But interesting stuff. And there's a difference too. You think about these Dagestanis. Like, we know Dagestanis to be some of the best as far as regions. If you come out of Dagestan, you were expected to be an absolute beast, right? But it gets to a level because there's the Dagestanis and then there's the Islams, the Habibs, the Umar Nurmagomedovs, and then there's the Dagestanis. There's just different levels. And we also haven't seen Dagestanis really outside of, or like in a higher weight class, like have that much success. You know what I'm saying? Like, Islam and Habib are at 155. That's like how the main size of people from Dagestan. Like Ikram's a little bit bigger, but maybe that style just don't work at 185. I don't know. Maybe I'm just giving him too much shit. But yeah, Ikram takes a lot. Ankalaev, I guess. Ankalaev. Yeah, Ankalaev is there. But that dude's just screwing himself. He's screwing himself. He had the chance to win the title and then got his legs kicked off by Jan and then had to lay and pray for the rest of the fight and it went to a draw. So I don't know, man. Like Ankalaev hasn't touched gold yet, but he is there. He's very good, very good. And I don't know why he hasn't fought for the title yet. I don't know where this guy is, why he didn't fight Pereira. Maybe he wasn't offered. I don't know. Because it seems like, short notice. Maybe he's just waiting. He didn't want to take the fight on short notice. Maybe he's playing it smart, playing it cool, going to wait for his shot, and then strike at the right moment. Maybe. I don't know. But Ankalaev still hasn't touched gold. Can't really call him a champion yet. But he does seem to be on his way. All right, let's cut the IG chat and we'll continue the show on YouTube. So if you're in the IG chat right now, hit the link in my bio. You can join the Sunday service on the YouTube live and we can continue. Just so there's a bunch of chats coming in IG, a bunch of chats coming in YouTube. Keep it in one spot so we can continue the show without too many interruptions. I do want to hear what you guys have to say. And we can see it all right here on the screen. Ober versus Ankalaev. Who you got? Ooh, I think I'd have to go with Ankalaev. Just because the wrestling edge is there. Why are you saying, will Hamza ever fight again? That was last week. We were talking about it last week. And the real reason for that is because we don't know what his health is. We don't know what his health is. If he's going to. He said he won't retire, but every time he's been booked for a main event, he has either had to pull out or he missed weight. So I don't know that we can't rely on him. So is he ever going to fight again? We don't know. We don't know. He's kind of been this guy that at this point, if he's booked to fight, it's like, yeah, we'll see. We'll see if he fights because he's either pulling out or he's missing weight. So that's why we have to ask, is he ever going to fight again? We don't know. Colossus in the YouTube chat. Vinicius got some nasty leg kicks. Hopefully he's been working on his takedown defense. He will need that takedown defense 100% this week because that is Ricky Simone's path to victory. Take this dude down. Because if he doesn't, Vinicius Oliveira's got some dangerous striking on the feet. I hope we get to see it because that dude's dangerous. Throws with intense heat. Good Lord. Good fight. I think that's the first fight of the night. At least that's where it's scheduled right now. Back to the recap. UFC Saudi. Co-main event. Co-main event leaves the heavyweight division in the most messed up spot that it's ever been. Okay, so Pavlovich goes in there as a favorite and loses a 30-27 to Alexander Volkov. And now Volkov is essentially the number one contender. He's the number one contender, but he's 2 fights away from a world championship fight. Because you have Aspinall versus Blades for the interim title, not even the undisputed title, it's the interim title. And then you have John Jones versus Stipe for the undisputed title, which is being held locked down in a cage right now because for some reason, UFC is just so intent on making that fight, and it has to be for the undisputed title because Dana White's got this hard on for John Jones. So we have Tom Aspinall versus Blades interim title, John Jones versus Stipe for the undisputed title, whenever that's going to happen. And then you have Alexander Volkov, who's essentially the number one contender. So, who do you match him up with? At this point, you have to say Alexander Volkov either fights Curtis Blades or Tom Aspinall, and you don't know if it's going to be the winner or the loser. Because if Tom Aspinall beats Curtis Blades, then does he know if he's going to fight John Jones or not? We don't know. We literally do not know. The heavyweight division is so fucked. Because whoever wins that fight between Tom Aspinall versus Curtis Blades, where do they go after that? They don't know. They don't even have the undisputed title fight with John Jones and Stipe booked. It's not even booked. We don't even have a relative date. I mean, I guess we could say it's November, but it was supposed to be November of last year. So I guess you could say it's November, but do we really know if it's going to be November? No. So whoever wins that fight, they're just floating out there in space. Like, we don't even know what's happening. So it comes down to this is where it's all fucked up. The UFC is basically being like, all right, heavyweight division, whatever John Jones wants to do, we're going to do. And we don't know anything about it. So everyone that's in the heavyweight division, everyone that's contending for a title right now, you're just going to have to sit back and you're at the mercy of John Jones. Because if Tom Aspinall wins against Curtis Blades, does Volkov fight Aspinall or does Volkov fight Curtis Blades? And vice versa. We literally do not know. My theory in this, because I think Volkov should fight one or the other. If Tom Aspinall wins, we need a set in stone answer from John Jones if he will ever fight Tom Aspinall. If he says no, then Volkov fights Aspinall. If he says he will, then Volkov fights Curtis Blades. It's in the weirdest fucking spot. Like, this is just, it's ridiculous. The stuff that they're doing for John Jones at this point. Literally holding up an entire division. Like, who does Volkov even think to call out right now? He doesn't even have a call out because he has no idea what's going to be there. Not that Volkov's a guy that would call people out, but it's just so, like, so many. It seems like every Sunday we sit here and I rant about it, but it's just so stupid, man. These fighters, like Volkov went out there, a big underdog, gets a big victory against a scary dude named Pavlovich. And then he's just left there not even knowing what is even possible right now. It's so dumb. And then, has anyone noticed this too? That Dana recently has been on another level of John Jones meat riding. It's crazy. Every single podcast that he's on, they ask him about John Jones, like when he's going to come back or like how good he is or whatever. Dana White absolutely rides the shit out of it, man. Like, good Lord. He's the baddest motherfucker ever. You put that dude in a room with anybody, John Jones walks out. Nobody's ever beaten him. Nobody's ever come close to a beating. He's never lost. And he's ran through everybody. Nobody ever stood a chance. And then you look back and you see Dana White, after the Dominic Reyes fight, say that he thought Dominic Reyes won the first 3 rounds. And then you look back after the Francis versus Stipe fight, where Francis knocked out Stipe, and he says, if I was John Jones, I would think about moving down to 185 and not move up to heavyweight. Like, it's just so recency bias, man. It's so recency bias. And then he always pulls the card of he was the GOAT at 205 and nobody could ever beat him. And then he took 3 years off, and then he came back and ran through the best guy at heavyweight in Cyril Gane. Well, Cyril Gane is nowhere to be found. Cyril Gane's literally sitting on the sidelines while Volkov and Pavlovich are fighting each other. Friends. They're friends. Ex-friends, I guess, at this point, because they're not friends anymore. They're ex-training partners having to fight each other because Cyril Gane is sitting on the sidelines doing some shit for Netflix. It's ridiculous. Cyril Gane is not the best guy in the world. Definitely wasn't at the time that John Jones beat him. Francis Ngannou was the best in the world at that point. It's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. So you got Aspinall Blades, you got John Jones Stipe, and Gane not taking fights. So that's 4 fighters in the heavyweight division that are just locked up. Nothing's going on. Nothing's going on. So Volkov's in a very weird spot, but he is the number 1 contender at this point. So I guess you put him against either Tom Aspinall or Blades. And for Pavlovich, I hope Pavlovich versus Gane happens. And I hope to God Sergey Pavlovich knocks him out, bro. I hope. I hope so much. Oh, he's doing that because Connor ain't coming back for ages. That's funny. Probably. He's got to keep something around, you know? Dana is king of bullshitting, watching him on the Club Shay Shay podcast. And when that motherfucker starts to lean up and his eyes get real big and he acts excited when he's talking, that's when he's telling lies. That's funny, Devin. That's funny. Facts, Nick. Hedge with 2.5K win-win. You're talking about Yuri ain't winning. Nick Alexander, Sergey and Volkov are still friends. They cashed out together on Volkov decision prop bet, and Sergey pushes him to avoid suspicion. That's funny as fuck, Nick. Oh my god, that is funny as hell. Oh, that's fucking hilarious, dude. If you can cash out now, cash out. Don't risk it. Somebody's talking about some big bets we got going on here. Ryan and P Dog in the chat talking about their bets they're making. Good lord. Okay, there we go. Thanks, Brad. Hey, brother, I need your help. I have a $100 parlay to win 8.3K. Pereira is my last fight that I need to win. My cash out is 3.6K. Should I cash out or let it ride? Well, let me tell you this. If you need the money, then you can cash out, sure. But let me tell you, if you have the money, you should probably hedge it. Hedge it with Yuri Prohaska because he's the underdog. He's plus money. So if you do the math, I can't really do it in my head. If you do the math, you can hedge it out so that you win the most, because let's just say you put 4,000 on Yuri Prohaska, and he's like, he's better than plus 100. But if you put 4,000 on Yuri Prohaska, you'd win 4,000 back, and then you'd lose your $100. You'd net 3,900, which is more than your 3.6K cash out. But he's actually better than plus 100 odds. So you're better out hedging if you have the funds to do it, because the cash out is always going to be a little bit less than a hedge. So even if you lose the 4,000, say you put 4,000 on Yuri at even money, plus 100 odds, and he loses, you lose the 4,000, but you win the 8.3K and you net 4.3K. So different type of math. But cash out is never really the option, the best option, unless you have the funds to hedge it with something else. I think Yuri's like plus 120 right now. So you wouldn't even have to put like 4,000. But let's just easy math. If he was even money, put 4,000 on it, you're winning either way. Pretty much what I'm saying. Hopefully that makes sense. But good for you, man. You're in a good spot. You're in a great spot. If you can always let it ride too, if you want to win that 8K. But if you want the profits, that's the easiest way to do it. All right, we went over the fucking rant in the heavyweight division. It's just disgusting. I mean, the rest of the card was interesting. Kelvin Gastelum, absolute weight bully. What is he doing? Missing weight. This dude's literally making food vlogs on his YouTube channel a month before the fight, titled Missing Weight with Kelvin Gastelum. What is he doing? Good Lord. Like, seriously, how does this guy not take his career seriously or what? Like, you're a professional fighter. This is your career. You're not a professional YouTuber, bro. What are you doing food vlogs a month away from your fight on freaking tacos? And then you come into fight week and you miss by 15 pounds, bro. You have to move the weight. You have to move up a weight class, an entire weight class. You're 5'9". You should be able to make 170 easily. Easily. He's trying to make his YouTube career doing food vlogs. Are we serious right now? Like, good Lord, Kelvin. So much talent and just zero discipline throughout his entire UFC career. I mean, he won that fight against D-Rod pretty handedly. Pretty handedly. For a guy that clearly had some shit going on, or at least I hope he had some shit going on, and that's why he missed weight. Because if he didn't, and there's just no excuse for it, then that's really bad. He won the fight pretty clearly won the fight. Towards the end, it was evident that him having the extra calories in his system played a big factor because one, he wasn't gassed and D-Rod was gassed. And number two, he gets one takedown and he's probably laying on him 215 pounds and D-Rod's probably sitting at 195. Big difference. Big difference. So Kelvin, big L for Kelvin as far as, fans go, because fans, they hate when you miss weight. They hate when you're unprofessional. Everybody hates it. And it sucks for D-Rod. He lost the fight, but I guess he came out and said it was a win-win because he got a new contract. He got some of his purse and some other shit. I don't know. He was happy about it. I mean, what is he fighting for at this point, too? It's not really like I think he got his win money. Maybe that's what it was. But, I mean, shit. If he gets a new contract, his show and win money and a percentage of his purse, he probably didn't give a shit if he won. Like, let's just be real. D-Rod at this point ain't fighting for nothing but a paycheck because he ain't going to be, contended for any titles at this point. So that was probably a big win for D-Rod if it all came down to it. Gets a big contract, gets his show and win money, and a percentage of his purse. So, yeah, I guess the real winner there is D-Rod. I will say that. Felt bad for D-Rod. He trained his guts out for that fight. Yeah, it seemed like he took his training camp very, very seriously. Now, some Arizona bartender says she saw Gastelum getting wasted on shooters a week or so out from the fight. We need some proof if we're going to be throwing those accusations in the YouTube chat, but I'll be honest. I wouldn't put it past him. I would not put it past him. P-Dog. D-Rod looked like he had a broken jaw first round. If you watch the whole fight, he was breathing weird. I mean, I don't know what shot would have broke his jaw. It didn't really look like Kelvin landed anything crazy. But D-Rod is getting a little frail, getting a little old, so maybe he did crack the chin. Let's talk about Sharamagomedov. Sharamagomedov, I think this dude is very underwhelming. If this dude looked normal, if Sharamagomedov looked like a normal person, a normal Dagestani, he wouldn't be shit, man. The only reason that he has hype is he looks fucking weird. He has the glass eye. He's got a big orange puby beard and a fucking mop head. That's it. And then when he fights, he's just a kick merchant. Just kicking your leg, kicking your legs, kicking your legs. And he was going up against Tricoli, bro. Tricoli is probably the worst fighter on the roster right now. This dude hasn't been training at all. We know that for a fact. He hasn't been training at all. He took the fight on like 3 days' notice. He already has no striking to begin with, no wrestling to begin with. All he has is BJJ. And his only real good win was on the Contender Series, and it wasn't even that good of a win, and he was on the juice. So Tricoli's a complete can. And Sharamagomedov won the fight kind of because he grabbed the fence. If he doesn't grab the fence there, he gets taken down, then Tricoli's probably not going to be gassed out as much going into round 3. And who knows? He could have subbed him on the ground. So I'm not sold on Sharamagomedov. He's a kick merchant. If he looked normal, he wouldn't really be hyped up at all. And I don't think his ground game is really that good. I don't really think we can say it was improved because Tricoli is not a good wrestler whatsoever. No explosiveness whatsoever. And he grabbed the cage to avoid a takedown. And then he got the knockout in round 3. I mean, I don't really think Magomedov's hands are that good. He's just a kick merchant, honestly. Big old kick merchant. Share Bullet fraud checked himself, struggling to finish jobber Tricoli. Sea Snake with the $2 dono, if I am not mistaken. That would be the first dono of the channel. Sea Snake, I appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much. Why some of these Russian guys banned from the U.S.? Let me tell you, if you're talking about Sharamagomedov, I don't think he's banned from the U.S. He might be. I don't know, considering all the history that's going on with him. I don't think he's banned in the U.S. I just think he's not going to be able to get cleared by a United States Athletic Commission because of his eye. It's like very known, and he just doesn't have an eye. It's a glass eye. So he's got one eye, And I don't know, maybe he has visa problems or anything else. But also Chimaev, I don't think he has a visa. I don't think he's banned from the US. Maybe he just I don't think he can get a visa to come and fight in the US. Probably because of the history with the Chechnyan dictator. I don't know his name. But yeah, I mean, he's got a big history with the Chechnyan dictator or whatever he is, the leader, some scary guy who's done a lot of violence to a lot of people. So I don't know if that's because of it, but I'm pretty sure it's because he doesn't have a visa or can't get one. It's all part of Dana's deal with with them to put on shows there for money. He's banned because he only has one eye. Yeah, exactly. Russian war at the moment. There's sanctions on traveling. That's probably true. But if you watched another guy, we can go right into it. Volkan Oezdemir. If you watched the Show Me the Money podcast on the Show Me the Money pod YouTube channel, Gilbert sat in the chair right next to me and said that Volkan can't fight in the US because he can't get a visa or he's banned in the US or something like that because he got in some fight and knocked the dude out on the street or something. So that's why he only fights in like Saudi Arabia, Abu Dhabi, Europe, because I don't think he can come to the US, which is pretty crazy because we don't really talk about Volkan, being banned from the US, but I think he is. But he did knock out Johnny Walker pretty easily. And I could go in on Johnny Walker if you guys want me to, but go back to the chat. Nick Alexander Bisping bluffed his way through fighting with one eye. Yeah, bro, completely. I mean, nobody knew that Bisping didn't have an eye until he was done fighting, really. Yeah, there's USA sanctions going on at the moment with traveling. The Sheik asked for women's fights on their next card. I saw that. That was funny. I don't know his name, but he was like, we want to bring the UFC back here and we want women's fights. And I'm just sitting there like, do you? Are you really sure? Like, that's really not something you should be asking for. Like, I know the card only had 11 fights on it, and maybe you want to throw another women's fight on there just to beef it up a little bit, but maybe he's asking for a piss break or something. I don't know. But unless he's getting like some super exciting women's fighter, like a Wei Lee or something like that, I don't know what he's really trying to get some women's fighters there because they're probably just going to throw some random ass like lower level women's fight on a Saudi Arabia fight night card. It's not going to be something that's crazy. Bro probably needed that piss break, though. I will say that. Yeah, I didn't know that about Volkan either. He wants Dern. He wants Dern on the card. That's funny. Johnny Walker KO was so scary, says P-Dog. Well, let me tell you. I saw that Johnny Walker KO coming from a mile away. Because Johnny Walker, for how fun he is, for how goofy he is, for how much of a fan favorite he is, the dude is ass. He's not good at fighting. He does not have fighting skills. All he has is that he's 6'6", athletic as hell, and that's it. Because after you get past that, he doesn't have skills in MMA. All he has is some random flying knee, some type of explosive movement. He doesn't have skills in MMA, and he has a weak chin. So he's an unskilled, no chin, 6'6" athletic dude. That's all he is. And Volkan found the chin early, which I thought he would, because if you watch the tape on Johnny Walker, there's a million openings for somebody to land something big on him. And Volkan found it. Volkan's an actual real fighter with real skills and knocked him out clean. Disgusting. Disgusting knockout, though. P-Dog. They can have the next two cards after UFC 303. Bro, yeah. Tell the Sheiks that they can have that fight night that's going down in July, headlined by Amanda Lemos and Verna Jandiroba. Let's see what they want. If they want that or not. Good Lord. Good Lord. They're going to have to use a full body suit in Saudi. Best part of Walker's performance is his dancing going to the octagon. Dude, he just jumps around. He's just an explosive dude, a big dude. Like, he's long. That's the worst part about it is he's super long and he could use his length very well, but he doesn't. When have you ever seen Johnny Walker throw a jab? Just snap a jab out there. or throw a front kick, push kick to the body, something like that. Something that guys with length would use. You've never seen that from Johnny. He doesn't have it in his arsenal. He's just waiting there to jump and throw a flying knee. Did you notice when Volkan rocked him? Johnny Walker was rocked, and his default in his brain was flying knee. He was rocked, getting pieced up, and then he just jumps in the air with a flying knee. This dude his brain was going all these motions. He got hit. CTE was hitting him, and he goes, "Oh my god, flying knee!" Yeah, it just completely whiffs, and then he gets knocked out cold. John Dong, who would win, Prime Dillashaw or Sean O'Malley? Are we talking Dillashaw on the EPO? If we're talking Dillashaw on the EPO, I'm taking Dillashaw, bro. There's not many people that are better than an EPO Dillashaw in the bantamweight history, man. I don't think there's many. He might be the best. If we're talking EPO Dillashaw. If he can keep the APO, I'm taking TJ 100%. Okay, Murray, MVP or Ian? Disgusting fight, in my opinion. It's going to be so boring. It's going to go to a decision, and it's going to be a controversial either way because neither guy's going to do much. I'll leave it at that. Rope Lord, cheering for MVP for a highlight KO and celebration. We all are, bro. We all are. We all want that MVP highlight knockout. That would be amazing. If he does that, that'd be sick. I would be going crazy. All right, rest of the card, not a ton happened. I do think Jared Gordon got robbed. I thought he won rounds 2 and 3. Muhammad Naimov is still dead to me because he cost me $12,000. Really never going to get over that one with Muhammad Naimov. Felipe Lima did look pretty damn good, though, for his UFC debut up a weight class. Fakhretdinov arguably lost as well against Dalby. Dalby is still a fucking dog. Never count that man out. If he's at plus 250 against almost everybody, I'm taking him, bro. I'm taking him. Gafarov needs to shave his back, and Gaji Azalov is a can, even though he's undefeated and he won. He's a can. Another Dagestani can. He might not be Dagestani. I think he is, though. Trains out of Bahrain. He trains out of Bahrain with Shamil Gaziev, so that's the biggest red flag right there. He's a can. And the road to the UFC fight was absolutely shit. So, yeah, that pretty much sums up the rest of the card, the prelims there. And we can go into some UFC 303 talk because let's look forward. We don't need to look backward anymore. Let's look forward. Rope Lord Lima could be a mini Diego Lopez. Dude kind of fits the bill a little bit. He pushes a big pace. He's fast as shit, too. I mean, real impressive. Back to John Dong. Yeah, Sean is good, but would be interesting to see how he could deal with someone like Dillashaw who could switch stances. I agree. Sean's fucking good, man. Sean is really good. But a TJ on EPO, I don't know if it gets better than that. I don't know if it does. What's that breathing technique Dalby uses? He does it every fight. I don't know why. Dalby does that. But, I mean, it gives him great cardio for one. And number two, when you watch that dude fight and he's breathing like that, just going, if I was fighting him and we're in the clinch and that dude's breathing in my ear like that, that would piss me off, bro. That would piss me off. I'd be like, I want to get the fuck away from this dude just breathing in my ear. Like, you're doing too much. Even though it works because he's got insane cardio and he pushes at an insane pace. Ian Gary versus Jeff Neal was so bad. Hopefully MVP engages and knocks this young whippersnapper out. That's kind of what I see, bro. And I actually think it could be worse. I think Ian Gary versus MVP could be worse than Ian Gary versus Jeff Neal because MVP is a counter striker. Ian Gary is a counter striker. Both of them do not like to go first. So I think this fight's going to be really, really boring. Lima was super impressive. I agree. What do you think about what a future Ortega versus Charles fight? You know what, UFC addict? I saw something today that said, or Ortega, I think it was on MMA Junkie. Ortega said that he was looking at a fight at 155, but he didn't say who it was, and he says it's still a possibility. So the fact that you bring that up kind of makes me think that it could be Ortega versus Charles in the future. Because what fights are there for Charles right now? Not many. Like they're weird. So they're talking about Charles versus Gamrot right now, which is kind of disgusting to me, but somewhat of a decent fight. But Ortega versus Charles would be wild. It would be a wild fight, but I think Charles would beat him for sure. Just too big, too skilled. I don't think it would be much of a fight. Do you think we will see more cornermen combining their fighters or combing their fighters' hair between rounds to gain a slight edge? Maybe. Not many people have the hair of Alexander Volkov, though. I will say that. Dude had a fresh cut, a fresh little comb over. And that had to be demoralizing to see your opponent getting his hair combed in between rounds. Yuri versus Alex 2, who y'all got? Let me know in the chat who you got, Yuri or Alex 2, and that can bring us in to what we need to talk about right now. I got some worries, some real worries about Alex Pereira this weekend. Let me tell you this, boys. Technically, when you break this fight down technically, Yuri Prochazka just gets hit way too much, and you can't get hit that many times by Alex Pereira before you go night-night. But the problem is, this is where my worries come in, is that when we see champions that are super active and they have to defend their belt within short amount of time frames, that's when they slip up. That's when they slip up, and that's when they can get knocked out. Or once they get too confident, once they feel too invincible, that's when they get knocked out. Alex Pereira has already been through this. He beat Israel Adesanya 3 times, twice in kickboxing, knocked him out in the UFC to win the title. Gets a little bit too overconfident. Fights Israel Adesanya for the 4th time, thinking, I beat this guy 3 times before. I'm going to just walk this dude down and do what I do. And then bang, he gets knocked out. And now here he is. This is his 4th fight in less than 2 months, or less than 12 months. 4th fight in less than 12 months. He's not coming in at 100%. He's got the broken toes. He was on a press tour in Australia. He's taking this fight on 2 weeks' notice. He's already knocked out Yuri Prochazka. Maybe he's just getting a little bit too overconfident and he gets knocked out. Am I crazy? But these are just my concerns. These are just my concerns, man. Like, I on paper, I think Alex Pereira wins 100%. But there's more variables to it. A lot more variables. How active he's been, the short notice, the fact that he's KO'd Yuri before and might be a little bit overconfident, and Yuri hits like an absolute truck. Yuri has 26 wins by knockout. You can't take this guy lightly. And not that I'm saying Alex Pereira is taking him lightly, but he's taking this on short notice, maybe a little bit underprepared, been super active, maybe not fully healthy. He goes out there being confident, thinking, I've already knocked this guy out. I'm going to save the event. I'm going to get another win, another title defense, another big payday. And then bang, Yuri Prochazka cracks him with something crazy and he gets knocked out. These are my concerns, man. These are my concerns. I called Alex the first time, but I'm a rock with Yuri for the 1 time. Okay, Murray. Murray's going with Yuri, even though he had Pereira the first time. Somebody's definitely going night-night in that fight, though. Yeah, I agree. It's going to be a good fight regardless, says Sea Snake. Alex Pereira is a great champion for being so active. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Like, obviously, we have the worries, or at least I do. I have the worries that he could lose, but at the end of the day, he's probably making big bank on this fight. So he might not even care if he wins or loses. And I will give him this. For one, if he's traveling, he's always training. He's always training. Always in the gym. Always sparring just good guys. Like, just sparring some 6'8" boxer that's like 260. Saw it before I got here. Sparring dudes all the time. He's always training. And he's a kickboxer. They're used to fighting, every other month. They're just staying super active. So it's not like it's something he's not used to. But there's still the concerns there for me a little bit. P-Dog, not crazy at all, but I think you need to watch the sparring he posted today. It was scary. Yeah, no, yeah, I watched it. It was scary, bro. It was scary as hell. Would not want to spar Alex Pereira. I will say that. Nick Alexander, Yuri has the only style to beat Poatan, bring the storm. I agree. You can't sit and just kickbox with Alex Pereira. Like, that's where Jamal Hill went wrong. Dude literally just went out there and said, I'm going to kickbox with Alex Pereira. Bad move. Bad idea, bro. Not going to work out well. At least with Yuri, he's going to just bring the fucking heat. He's going to bring the fucking heat. And I actually think Yuri gave him a little bit too much respect in that first fight, and that's why he got knocked out. So Yuri needs to come into this guns blazing. Go in there and fucking outdog this dude. Just fucking be in his face, and he could get clipped in the process. But you're not going to just stand and kickbox with Alex Pereira. You're going to get knocked out. Okay, Murray. Yuri tagged him and was looking nice at the center. Plus, the short notice is major too. Yeah. So if you watch back the Yuri versus Pereira first fight, there was a couple times where Yuri landed some flurries that were like, okay, he's kind of got Pereira in a spot that he's not used to, you know? We are not having Alexander Volkanovski over again. Thanks. Let me know what that's referring to, because I don't know what that means. But man, I mean, if Pereira can beat Prohaska again and defend his title again, and he knocks out Yuri again, dude's up there. I think you got to put him near the number one pound for pound rankings, bro. Like, the dude's so active, knocking dudes out left and right. I think this would be probably the most impressive win of Pereira's career, like UFC career. And I don't really say that lightly, because number one, it's short notice where he's injured against a dangerous guy in Yuri. Even though he's beat him before, he had a full camp. The title was vacant at the time. I think this would be the most impressive win of his career. Let me know if I'm crazy for that take or not. Should Magomed be next, or does he need another fight for sitting out? I think he's probably next, because eventually Pereira's going to want to fight again. if he wins against Yuri, then he's probably going to want to fight again, and I think Ankalaev deserves one. I think he does. Alex ain't losing. I'm not saying he's going to lose. But I do have some concerns for him. I definitely do. But Yuri, let's just say this. I mean, they both fought on the same card, so that kind of evens the playing field a little bit. Because Alex fought at 300, and so did Yuri. So at least there's that. It's a little bit different than when Aljo had to defend his title against Cejudo in like May, and then fight Sean O'Malley in, what was it, August? So he had to turn around in like 3 months, as when Sean O'Malley had fought Petr Yan in October the year prior, and then was just preparing for a title shot the entire time. So it's a little bit different there, because they both had the same amount of time to prepare. They both fought on the same card last time. So it's short notice for both guys, and it's not in a spot where one guy has had more time off. So I guess that evens the playing field a little bit there. Poatan can't lose. We need that kind of champ. Yeah, I agree, bro. Big stuff from Poatan. I much respect to him. Much respect to Yuri as well. And Yuri's undefeated in Las Vegas. We'll say that. I saw the picture of Yuri outside T-Mobile, and he was like, I'm back home. He's just outside T-Mobile meditating or some shit like that, doing some weird Yuri shit, and whatever that is. I think Alex should move up or something, because Magomed, I mean, his last fight was against Walker, who's currently still sleeping in the octagon. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe you could force Magomed to fight somebody else right now just to get another win under his belt, but I don't know. I mean, the guy just doesn't seem very active. So maybe he just needs a statement win to really prove that he needs the next title shot. I'm actually curious if the UFC offered the fight to him or not. Because if they didn't, I think that says a lot. But if they did and he turned it down, then number one, the UFC might not like that. And number two, it's like, okay, then you probably need another fight before you can fight for the title. Ian and Venom decision and Yuri and Poatan finish parlay. Might be the move. I don't know what the odds are going to be on that, but I'm sure the Yuri Poatan fight to not go the distance is probably going to be pretty chalky. Probably like minus 400, minus 500. So your parlay is probably not going to pay much. Who would win at light heavyweight, Yuri or Sean Strickland? Bro, did we forget? We can't forget that Yuri, after the Rakic fight, said he was thinking about moving to 185. Like, does he really think he's going to move down to 185? Does anybody else remember that? Because I don't think I'm making that up. I'm pretty sure he said that he was thinking about moving to 185. If that's true and he thinks he can make 185, that's pretty fucking wild because he's a big dude. But who would win at light heavyweight, Yuri or Sean? I think Yuri would, because he's a guy, he doesn't fight off the back foot. And if you don't fight off the back foot against Sean, then you have a much better chance to win. If you're going to fight off on the back foot against Sean, you're losing, bro. You're going to lose. So I'd probably go Yuri. P-Dog, if Sean wins, I think he should go up to heavyweight and create the greatest UFC story ever. Yeah, I think a lot of people are thinking that way as well, because, I mean, a 3-division champion would be crazy, but I don't know that he could beat anyone at a heavyweight. Like, I don't think he's going to beat Tom Aspinall, and I don't think he's going to beat John Jones. And those are the only champions that I think are going to be at heavyweight for the next 3 to 5 years, to be honest. Might be a hot take. Maybe Tom Aspinall falls off, but I don't think he could beat Tom Aspinall or John Jones. So, yeah, I mean, the biggest thing for Pereira is he really hasn't had to fight a dominant grappler. So he's been getting guys that stand and strike, and nobody's really been able to take him down and expose him there. Like, Jan tried it, but Jan, that's not his fight style. Like, he gassed out because of that. I know it was that elevation, but he went out there round one, grappled him up, and then that's not how he usually fights. It's not how he's used to, like, conserving his energy that way. So then he gasses out and then he loses. So he hasn't really had to fight, a guy that can take guys down and do damage there. But he is freaking huge, and he has good submission defense, and not the best takedown defense, but he has good submission defense and a decent ability to get back up to his feet. That weight cut would kill Yuri. Yeah, I agree. He would be looking like a skeleton, man. I'm actually curious if he thinks he could actually make 185. It just seems nuts. I think the light heavyweight division needs to fight more while Alex moves up, because there's no clear contenders deserving of a shot. Unless Yuri wins, it'll be a trilogy. Completely agree. I think if Yuri wins, they're going to do a trilogy. 100%. 100%. Yeah, he said that. Okay, I'm not crazy. What's the most money you've made on a bet? Also, what's the most money you've lost on a bet? Most money I've made on a bet was probably, I want to say it was Drake's Duplessis, because I think I had like 3,000 on him. $3,000 on Drake's, I want to say. And I won like a little over 3,000. So I think that's the most. What's the most I've lost on a bet? Sad to say, I think it was Rebellious to Spain. I think I had like 2,000 on him. Never stood a fucking chance, bro. Never stood a chance. Probably the worst bet of my entire career. Rebellious to Spain. Minus 200, $2,000 down the drain. But don't you think John Jones is retiring soon? Yeah, I agree. But then you got Tom Aspinall, and I don't think Pereira beats Tom Aspinall. I don't see how Tom would lose that, because he's got a massive grappling edge. He's freaking huge. He took Pavlovich's best shot and then knocked Pavlovich out. And I don't know that Pereira could really handle a shot from Tom Aspinall, bro. Like, Tom Aspinall just murks dudes. He murks him on the feet. And if he doesn't murk him on the feet, he can just take him to the ground. Okay, Murray, does anybody actually think Bilal can beat Leon? I mean, he definitely deserves a shot, but like, I'm not that interested in that. Here's the thing. I actually think Bilal could beat Leon. I do think he could beat him. But he's gonna have to play his cards completely perfect. He's gonna have to come out there with a perfect game plan and execute it perfectly. If he doesn't, he's gonna lose. Because Leon's tough to deal with, but Leon at times is low volume, and Leon doesn't exactly have the most finishing upside. He doesn't really have that many finishes in the UFC. I mean, we call Bilal remember the decision, but Leon's got a lot of decisions, bro. Like Leon ain't that dangerous on the feet. He's got real sharp striking, but he's not really knocking dudes out left and right. So I think Bilal does have a chance to win the fight just by outworking him. Outwork him on the feet, throw a bunch of volume, and mixing some takedowns. Most money you could have made on was Naimov. Yep. Just had to remind me, Sea Snake, bro. Jesus. That was definitely the most money I could have made. 12,000, man. 12,000. Just because Naimov couldn't last 15 seconds in there, bro. The thing that pissed me off about it the most, too, is because it was a short choke. It wasn't even a rear naked choke where he had it like locked up like this. It was a fucking short choke. Just palm to palm. Palm to palm short choke. Motherfucker, bro. Good perspective. He was getting murdered in that fight, in that first fight, but it's been so long and both have improved drastically. Big decision regardless. Yeah, I agree. No, he was getting mauled in that first fight. I agree. But I don't know why. Like Leon just came out different that fight. So maybe he just hates Bilal. Like you watch him fight Bilal and then you watch him fight like Colby. Big difference. Like Leon was throwing a shit ton, bro. He was throwing hard kicks, hard left hands. He looked like he didn't respect Bilal at all. And then you watch him fight Colby, and he's barely throwing much out there at all. So I don't know. Weird. All right, we'll get a few more chats in here, but then we're gonna hop out because we're over an hour right now. But the chat's just been fucking amazing. Shout out to you guys for pulling up today because this has been a great show. I hate Ian Gary as much as I hate Bilal. LOL, me too. I was following your pick. Damn, bro. I that's the biggest thing. Sea Snake is like, I know I missed out on 12K, but just to think that like so many people followed that bet. We could have made so much money together. Like just think of how many people followed that bet. And if it hit, the fucking apps would have had to pay all of us out. They would have been down big on the day. They would have been down massive on the day. And we could have just destroyed them, bro. Oh, that's what pisses me off the most. P-Dog, Sean O'Malley versus Merab, who's winning? Bro. I kind of want to go Sean. I kind of do. Because I think the movement's going to be really, really tough for Merab to deal with. Now, I know he's got insane pace. He's got insane cardio. But his entries can be stopped based on lateral movement and the threat of a big shot. And we've also seen Merab get rocked by frickin' Cejudo, by Marlon Moraes. So it's not like he can't be hurt. And Sean hits harder than anybody. And we saw the knee that he landed on Cheeto. I don't know if Merab's eating that knee. I don't know that anybody that could eat that knee like Cheeto did and keep moving. So I'm probably leaning Sean, low key. What up, Larry in the chat? Let's do some quick picks for UFC 303. I put out a video, early picks, on the YouTube channel. You can watch that. But right now, I'm going to just list them off real quick, and then we're going to hop out of here, okay? Main event, these are early picks. These are early picks. If you want a little bit more explanation, watch the video. Main event, Alex Pereira, Coleman, Diego Lopez. Anthony Smith Dolidze, give me Anthony Smith. Mayra Bueno Silva, Macy Chasson. I'm taking Chasson because she looks a little bit more lesbian. And we are in Pride Month, and these are both, I think they're both lesbian. And Macy Chasson looks a little bit more lesbian. So I'm going to take her. Ian Machado Gary. I hate calling him Ian Machado Gary. I'm calling him Ian Gary. Ian Gary, Michael Venom Page. I'm going to take Ian Gary. Joe Pyfer, Marc-Andre Barrio. Give me Pyfer. Cub Swanson, Andre Feely. Give me Feely. Charles Jourdain, Gene Silva. Charles Jourdain. Tough one there, though. Charles Jourdain, but tread lightly. Peyton Talbot, Giannis Gamori. Peyton Talbot by absolute domination. Michelle Watterson, Jillian Robertson. I'm going to take Jillian, but I'm taking with slight hesitation. Andrei Arlovsky, Martin Budai. I really want to take Arlovsky because I think it's his retirement fight. And I don't think Budai is very good, but I will go with Budai. Carlos Hernandez, this Ray Saruya dude. I'm tempted to take Carlos because I don't think Ray Saruya is good at all on the feet, but he's an insane grappler. So I'm going to go Saruya. Ricky Simone, Vinicius Oliveira. Give me Ricky Simone. He should wrestle him up. Those are the quick picks within a minute or two. Too real. How do you feel about Alex versus Yuri? We went over this, bro, and we got to hop out of there. But you can rewind it to about 25 minutes ago. Went over all that. Anthony Smith smoking this middleweight, possibly. I don't think Delija is very good. Want to see Marab get revenge for Aljo and then call out Hunter Campbell on the mic. That would be funny. That would be actually hilarious if he did that. All right, fellas. Appreciate y'all for joining. Good luck and enjoy the UFC 303 fight week. Till next time, Hayjivepicks, we out.